Hey everyone, Gary here. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sponsor today. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place for free you can use right from your phone or computer. Creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. They'll distribute your podcasts everywhere so it can be heard everywhere, including but not limited to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
My name is Alex Rodriguez. I'm the president of the Chanute Debate League. I'm the president of the Chanute TARS Club, the president and founder of the Chanute Model United Nations Club. I am the representative, the chair of the 2nd Congressional District for the Kansas Federation of Teenage Republicans. I am a high schooler in Chanute, Kansas.
Nice one. Hi, my name is Carson Cuesta. I'm going to be a junior. I am the vice president and co-founder of the Chanute TARS organization. I am the drum major for the Chanute High School Marching Band. I am the team captain of Public Forum Debate and the vice president of the Blue Comet Forensics League.
Nice. Oh, I'm also the president of the
and I'm also
Forensics League.
And I'm also the treasurer of the debate team.
Yeah.
And I'm Gary. I have a podcast.
That's nice. Gary
Nice,
Smith.
Gary Smith podcast.
Big Lip Gang.
Big Lip Gang. Yes, buy my merch. I don't know if you guys seen that, but I have that on t-shirts now.
How much is it actually? Put it in
Like
chat. I might buy it.
It's been a while since I looked at this fucking thing, dude.
If you can find it somewhere, get it to me.
Got it.
Now I have disposable income and I want to waste money.
Absolutely, dude. So, how has the 6-month summer been for you guys?
I mean, besides my entire summer getting canceled, my district's regulations didn't allow me to go to congressional nationals for congressional debate. I wasn't allowed to go to state for forensics, wasn't allowed to go to state for HOSA or internationals for HOSA. Had a family vacation ruined, had debate camp ripped out of my cold, dying hands.
I'm more optimistic than that. I'm a little more optimistic than that. I'm not going to lie. It's been not obviously what anybody expected, but if you're the kind of person that's the glass, half full, which I've tried to be, I think it's been, it's definitely been somewhat good. Other than the global pandemic, you get to talk to friends a lot more than you could, especially when the school year was going on. That was the easiest semester of school I've ever had in my entire life.
Absolutely.
It was so good.
I love that. That was great. And
Yeah.
I don't know how your guys' school handled it, but Coffeyville schools did not handle online school very well at all.
Oh, well, all of my easy classes got a lot easier. All my hard ones got a lot harder. So basically, every class was a participation grade where they would give you a worksheet that, if you turned it in late, it didn't really matter. And then they'd give you the answer key to it the next day. And then, but AP Lang would give me 8 to 12 hours of homework.
Yeah.
Well, funny.
I'm over here having a fantastic time because, like I said, Coffeyville schools handled it in a really stupid way. In the way that, so for about 1 week they had active grades, but then they froze your grades to where they can only go upwards.
Yeah,
we had that for the rest of that semester.
Yeah, what happened is we finished third quarter with active grades, and you had to turn everything in, otherwise you had an incomplete. And then the entirety of the fourth quarter was just frozen grades, and your grade could only go up. It was good.
It was pretty nice. But besides that, I mean, it obviously hasn't been all bad. I mean, gave me a lot more time. I was able to get a job, was able to buy my first car. I've been able to read a lot more, work on my Russian, work on my German. just
Hey, good for you, pal.
waste time playing Rainbow Six Siege and Gary's mod.
Love that.
It's
I
very
mean, yeah,
fun.
but we also, I mean, you were pretty instrumental in, founding an organization. So I feel
Yeah, that's true. That also ate up a bit of my time. I mean, you're able to volunteer quite a bit when you're inside all day. I mean, you're able to just, with everything being digital now, it's very easy to communicate with people. It's very easy to start these things up. So yeah, that definitely wouldn't have happened if, at least it wouldn't have happened so smoothly without Corona break.
Yeah, like I feel like there's like a few ways people reacted towards having an extra long Corona break.
Yeah.
There are people like you who really seize the moment, and then there are the people like me who took this as an opportunity to sleep for 15 hours a day.
Oh, I wouldn't say I seized any moment. I definitely did that, especially when I was at when we were still in school. I'm naturally a procrastinator. I mean, I have ADHD, ADD, so I naturally procrastinate, and it's a lot easier to do when your work space is like 6 feet away from your bed,
Mm-hmm.
and you
I know
have
it was
blackout curtains. Like
it was
it's
the
just
shortest. It was the shortest commute to school ever.
yeah, it really was. But yeah, I slept way too much. I definitely had a almost negative sleep schedule. I was basically up all night for weeks and weeks, mainly because only like one or two teachers wanted to do the Zoom things, and they did that like once a week anyways, and it was kind of optional. So with
Yeah.
that being said, and work being able to be turned in whenever, there was no reason to stay up in the day and like go to sleep at a reasonable hour. If I wanted to play Rainbow Six Siege for like 9 hours, I could. It was terrible, but really fun.
Like, I don't know. I feel like this is really echoing like a problem we have in school, where it's
Definitely.
like, so I feel I've been very active about like, how should I say this? A huge problem we have, at least in American school systems, I can't speak for other types of school. We don't know how to like there's no way, like workflow is a thing,
Yeah.
like in this you really had to make an active decision to do what you needed to do, as opposed to like, I don't know, as someone who can like, I like have the tendency to like autistically knock things out, like sit down for like 6 hours and do every single piece of work that they've
Oh
given me.
yeah.
That's something that's like doable, and sometimes that's doable in work/life/ whatever. But
Yeah, I definitely understand that. I echo that because I definitely tried to do that because I procrastinate. I usually do that. I usually wait until everything goes into one day and I'll knock it out, sit down, drink a bunch of coffee, and become an insomniac. But I tried to do that with my really easy classes. It was impossible because they would put things out as you went. Like today's assignment is this, today's assignment is this. Just no, give me like the curriculum for the next 2 weeks and let me knock it out in one night so I can relax. Like it wasn't possible.
I did that in a way because what I did was I played so much GTA 5 and I played so much Rainbow Six Siege and Fortnite at the time that I didn't do anything until May. And the best part about it was that the work was so easy. I did it all in one day, and it didn't take me more than 4 hours to do an entire semester's worth, basically, of every single class. It was just ridiculous.
Well, I had that division between my easier classes and my more difficult class. All right. So if for chemistry, I would have to literally every night just do a 30-second worksheet. Like it would take no time. But then I would, I did literally an entire semester of concurrent credit American history essays in like a day. Like I literally just sat down for 19 hours and crammed out like 30 some essays.
Like this is also really separated from the wheat to the chaff in a way,
Yeah, I guess.
Like I made a fair amount of money. I'm not going to say a figure at the moment because a lot of people in my school recognize me as, hey, that one guy who's known for being really, really well at debate. He's smart. He can do my work. I no mean to brag, but this one girl, she had, I believe it was a 10% in a science class. She was a freshman, so that was pretty easy. I got her up to a 73% in one day, and I am so grateful that my brain works in such an autistic way to where I can do that and get paid for it. And life was good.
No, we had good connections throughout school. I think that really helped. I mean, like every class usually had a Snapchat group chat, before all of this, but then it became almost essential afterwards. Because we always had like those two people that would do the entire class's homework and just give it to them. Like that, those things still existed, and if anything, they got more brazen. Like instead of it being like a secret thing in the hallway, it was just like a chain email.
Yeah, see, I never did the group chat thing for classes on my easy classes, like even easy during the school year. Like math comes to me super naturally, so I never needed help with that. But accounting was so bad over this break because we were doing like practically the same thing with no instruction.
Yeah.
And in those harder classes, it was very difficult to get ahead. So I had to do a tremendous amount of online, just like watching random people try to explain to me on YouTube how to do this. And I feel like that was like the biggest downfall. And I don't understand how like people who do K through 12 or organizations like that, how they actually get online schooling so effectively and actually go.
Yeah, because I'll be honest, I didn't learn anything in the last 3 months of school.
It was rough.
My grades were fantastic, but I'll tell you what, if there was a final exam that was actually encompassing anything from that semester, I wouldn't get it, or that last quarter and a half at least.
Well, every single person, I don't know if this is true where you live in Coffeyville, Gary, but in Chanute, every single person pretty much was looking on Google whenever we had a test.
Oh yeah.
And and I feel like there's no way around it, but I don't understand how like people really learn things from K through 12 because nobody would do assignments, and then they would just, when it was test day, look up every single answer on Google.
Yeah, can I speak on that for a second? Because going back to what Gary was talking about, like with the problems with our current education system, I think that, in public schools right now with the whole No Child Left Behind, not only like policies and whatnot, but mentality, I feel like a lot of classes, easier classes especially, it's just kind of like a teacher spoon feeding you information and it's an easy A, all right? And I feel like in an online situation like we had, being in the age of information doesn't make that any easier. Because we had to kind of force ourselves to get out of bed and actually, sit down in a chair and type for a little while or take notes or watch something. But at the end of the day, we could still just copy and paste it into our URL bar, search it on Google, and find the best answer, paraphrase, and get an A. Like it's not helping us. It's really. I mean, have we lost as a generation? Are we going to lose that ability, that work ethic, that ability to
but
critically think about
though. Yeah, but critically thinking, you need to conceptualize the information that you're getting off of Google. And I think one thing is, what if you don't need to know as many things as people before us once did? Because you can just tap whatever you need to know on Google, and it takes 3 seconds to find out information. What if you don't need to memorize as much? What people used to have to? And what's the problem with that?
The problem with that is now you're looking at all the information that you need for your life from the lens of somebody else, and that can
I'm not talking about
inclusive of all biases that they have.
No. I'm not talking about editorials or opinion articles.
No, I mean general information, like if you like the whole you'll never have a calculator in the back of your pocket myth from early 2000s schools.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that in general isn't a very bad thing. I mean, especially if we're talking about like mathematics or like physics, things that are actually set in stone, like just principles that you would otherwise just have to memorize. I think being able to whip out your phone and ask Siri about it, I don't think that's a very bad thing.
I think the problem with your contention here is that you're comparing adults of today with kids from today. And I think that's an issue because I don't think when our parents or our grandparents were our age, I don't think they were a huge fan of school either. And I don't think they probably had the best work ethic. I think that's something that you grow and develop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe it's just a little bit of boomer humor memes getting to me about, phone's bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. We'll see if society falls apart. I don't think it will.
I feel like realistically, each generation has its own like strengths and weaknesses.
Absolutely.
I think it's kind of a flawed part of our system that we've retained such a way of teaching and like the same sort of curriculum for so long.
Yeah, I completely agree, Gary.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, our system our system in America isn't meant to change very quickly at all. It doesn't seem,
No.
nothing is done fast at all. And
Yeah.
that in an internet age where everything is changing constantly, I think that's like an inherent issue.
Yeah, I think that the biggest problem facing mainly just teenagers today in school and as far as schooling goes is really standardized testing. And it just sounds like a teenager complaining, but I feel like the opposite of effective learning is cramming the night before. And that's exactly what standardized testing does to teenagers.
Oh, yeah. No, I have a lot of credits for classes that I can't remember the curriculum for because that's just what I did. I would cram the night before, pass the test with flying colors, get all the extra credit questions right, forget about it the next week.
Yeah.
And then even, the final is another standardized test is kind of meant to reverse that. It's like, well, not only do you have to know it that one day, but you got to know it at the end of the year. Well, you give me a study guide the week before the final, I'll just do the same thing again, just on a bigger scale.
And it's really an issue to me. It's the pressure that is put on, people in those advanced placement classes in any kind of class with, some kind of final exam or whatever is really just, I don't think it's very healthy at all.
Yeah,
I was watching this video the other day about the problem with the American education system. And it said that we should, instead of grouping people together by age and grade, we should group them together by skill level instead of, whatever age you happen to be. So, if you're proficient in some things but not others, you should, be in the same class as those same people. That way teachers can really, preach.
Yeah.
They can actually effectively teach instead of, there's always those people straggling behind. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true. I feel like that'd be very interesting. I mean, that would really throw out the whole credit system, standard-based grading. That would be something completely out of left field, but it sounds more effective. It sounds like a nice idea in theory, at least. I don't know how that would work in practice. That's a nice. Write that down. Honestly, that's something we could think about. That's nice.
So, I don't know, kind of going back to where I was saying about the problems with our issues.
Yeah.
We have a huge problem in middle America, because we don't have the resources of a New York. A New York could more efficiently change their curriculum, change how they're teaching.
Yeah, when you have 6 public schools in your little area.
Yeah, it's like a spread out issue, and I don't know. I can't think of any way that we could more efficiently spread out this information. Get this done, because a huge problem, another thing is states. I don't know. The federal government is kind of an issue in the way that America is 50. America is 50 countries in a trench coat pretending like it's one, and
yeah. I mean,
America itself can't make any America itself can't make any statements about anything. You know what I'm saying? It's always incorrect because of the absolute broadness of the country. I don't know.
Yeah, I think any country that has this sheer amount of landmass and the sheer amount of people, and it also has democratic representative democracy or a representative republic, I think you're going to run into that issue because we don't agree. I mean, I have very different opinions than someone my age, my exact demographic, 600 miles away.
Yeah.
But, we both have the same amount of input on policy. And it's just the red tape, of bureaucracy in general kind of slows that down. I mean, our diversity of thought around here doesn't exactly help it, but I think it's still effective. I think us arguing, all 50 states, just a bunch of us arguing about a specific issue and a specific policy is the best way to eventually come to a consensus and come up to the best conclusion, the best solution for that issue.
The best way to solve your problem, Gary, that you just outlined about the federal government is to have set powers delegated to, and not just an interpretation of what it should look like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A set of rules that, define what each state can do and what the federal government can do. And I think that's something that we don't have. The biggest problem with the Constitution is the same problem that the people who read the Bible have. It's all about how you interpret it.
It really is.
Not about what it actually says.
And
because
we don't have these people here with us to talk to about it. I mean, they debated over every comma in the Constitution.
Yeah, that's an issue.
They were very hard set on not only what they wanted to say, but what they wanted to represent. But we have no record of really, we can't know what they were thinking. We can't know what they wanted America to be. It's frustrating.
It's frustrating.
I know it's kind of a joke among the debate community that I'm the like hyper constitutionalist, bring up the Constitution every 30 seconds guy. But I mean, it really is. It is inherently flawed. I think almost. I don't want to go that far.
Inherently. I wouldn't say inherently,
but I think the idea of basing all of this on one thing that we can't exactly double check as a standard, I can see a lot of people having problems with that in our country. I don't specifically. I think that it was laid out. It made a promise that it failed to live up to eventually, but the whole idea of the American experiment is slowly living up to the promises that we set forth in the Declaration of Independence. I think that we were very, very concrete in what we wanted America to become, but it's so abstract. We use abstract nouns in the Constitution. We use abstract nouns in the Declaration of Independence, and we can't double check it because Thomas Jefferson isn't alive today.
I have a question for both of you. And I know this is my podcast, but I'm just curious. Do you think that America has peaked?
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't know. Like,
what standard? What about it has peaked?
Well, just in general.
I mean, give me a specific.
America has already been at its best, and it can never get back to there. Or do you think that we still?
I mean, economically speaking, we can always get better.
Not economically, but mostly like societally.
Societally,
like openness,
like in policy or in like a cultural standpoint.
From a cultural perspective, yeah.
I feel like we're living in a pretty.
I don't like the direction that our culture is going in right now, but that doesn't exactly mean that we peaked.
I don't know. Sometimes I struggle with this quite a lot because I just feel like the America that I grew up in, and I guess continue to grow up in, is very divisive and very just. It's just hard to watch. You know what I mean? And it's coming from the people at the top who are our representatives and people who are supposed to be moral leaders of the country. But it just seems to me like it's all about us versus them, and it's not about us. It's not about we. You know what I mean? It's just very rough.
I don't think that's the problem. I think those are symptoms of our political world, our normal political world in the age of information. People have always been this flawed. People will always be this flawed. People will always, especially politicians, will always be this divisive. But when everyone's allowed to communicate their grips and gripes over the entire world in a matter of seconds, then when people can just fabricate anything and distribute it and make it look authentic, I think that it's going to come off as a lot more divisive. I mean, like, people talk all the time about not wanting to watch the news because the world's so terrible. Oh, every time I turn on the news, I see people dying. Well, guess what? That's the same. It's the same it's always been. It's just now you're looking at it. And I think that's what's happening with Washington. It's always been divisive.
I agree. But continue.
I think another part of it, I think it is a little bit different, though, than what it has been, is now we have politicians as like celebrity figures almost. We put them up to this high standard. There's that whole mentality almost that any press is good press, just name recognition is what you're going for. I think that divisiveness kind of multiplies exponentially when you look at every single celebrity as if they have to be either the epitome of all that is good or the devil incarnate. Like when you look at them and you look at every single facet of their life and you investigate it constantly and it's fed to you, spoon-fed by Twitter or any outlet that you're wanting to look at, then it just multiplies the amount of divisiveness that we see and that people use. And smear campaigns, I mean, that's a good example of that. Smear campaigns used to be rare and not very intense. They weren't very brutal. Now you see
No,
literally you see a political ad that says that Chris Kobach is a white nationalist, and that's not extremely out of the ordinary. If anything, that might be a little bit tame to what we're used to seeing when it comes to political smear campaigns.
Before the age of information, when all you had to get your news from was a newspaper, it was all just propaganda.
Yeah, and it still is.
Something that I think
not exactly propaganda per se, but everything that you're reading has someone else's bias. You should never take someone else's word as to what someone else believes or someone else thinks. Those things aren't very objective. No one can really know. So when you read a headline that says, X, Y, or Z politician is a literal white supremacist, they are an actual Nazi, they are a former member of the Ku Klux Klan, and they think that this group of people do not deserve to live. I don't understand how people don't take that with a grain of salt.
I think that something that would definitely fix this problem in a very major way, or at least in a big way, is an idea that I stole from Sonia Sotomayor. Does anybody know who that is?
Nope.
No, I don't know.
Okay, in 2009, she was made a Supreme Court justice.
Okay. Yeah,
it was Obama's first pick. Anyway,
I remember.
She said that the reason that the Supreme Court is so effective is because cameras aren't allowed in, and I think that we should do the same thing to the Congress, the House of Representatives, and the Senate. It's because everything that they do is all about getting fame, like you pointed out, Alex. I think we should take the cameras, C-SPAN should get out of there, and I think that way we can have a more effective Congress, because I was reading, and she was talking about this also, that nobody goes to the Senate unless they have to vote or they have an issue that their congressional district is privy or necessary to be there about. I don't know if that makes sense, but the camaraderie amongst senators has gone, and it's always a me versus them, Republican versus Democrat, and I think that's really not the system which is most effective for the obviously the American people. So I think that we should take the cameras out of there. I think that we definitely have a more effective government and a better.
I can't remember if it was from. I think it was the Joe Rogan podcast. I can't remember who he was interviewing. It might not have even been that, but I remember someone compared modern Congress, how they legislate, and how it's impacted to the OJ trial, about how it's just ruined by publicity, and it's just fueled, and every single point is literally just trying to gain popularity in one way or another because it's being televised. They put it in a lot better words than I can, but it's very, very, very true, very interesting. Gary, you wanted to say something?
Okay, so a thought that I have on that, I feel like in an age where information is so diluted by non-information, like keeping cameras in huge political things like that is a good way to ensure objective news. A camera doesn't have to wipe its ass every day. A camera didn't go to Princeton. A camera didn't rally against Trump. A camera is completely unbiased on what happened, and I feel like to keep that sort of thing going is to take that away is to encourage less genuine forms of news.
There's no problem inherently with the camera, but the problem instead is the people in front of it. Okay, and humans at their nature want to be liked. Senators, and politicians do this all the time with their constituents. They want to be, liked all the time. What is the latest polls saying about me? I guarantee that's what they're thinking all the time. And I think that if we take the cameras out of Congress, then it would be so much more effective. People wouldn't be doing these gotcha questions. They wouldn't be doing, for example, late last week, I don't know if you guys heard this, but Senator Ted Yoho confronted Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in front of the Congress, in front of the Capitol steps, and in front of an enormous amount of cameras, and called her an effing B. I don't know if I can cuss on here.
Yeah, you can cuss on here.
He called her a fucking bitch. He on national news sources to make a publicity stunt that, because she's kind of been made this the figure of the Democratic Party, and so he was trying to act
new figure of the far left, or the
new
face of the future of liberalism in general.
Exactly. And so he was doing it as a, kind of to seem, self-righteous to everybody who's anti-AOC and anti.
Kind of taking a stance, or
and I don't
was
think
all
that
publicity stuff. True.
And not that I particularly like her politics, and not that I particularly like, how she usually votes, but she's still a person. She's still a congresswoman, and she still deserves the same respect. And I don't think that that would have happened if a million cameras weren't in front of Mr. Yoho.
I mean, an actual congressional hearing or any type of legislative assembly should not be full of gotcha questions and full of just, buttering up to your constituents just so you can secure a vote. It should be a legislative assembly. It should be just a focus on solving the problems with her nation. It shouldn't be, just screaming world star and insulting someone of the opposite political ideology. It should be attempting to come to a consensus.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll be right back. My dog needs to be taken out.
Awesome.
Feel free to continue this discussion.
We'll wait for you.
Because this is just, I know it's recorded, but I'd still like to talk to you. I'm glad that we agreed with that, because I didn't know if you would actually agree with me on that.
No, I think I do. I mean, obviously there still has to be some sort of accountability. I think if it was just like written down, if someone just literally if there was some sort of secretary that just took notes of the entire assembly.
The clerk. There is. There's people who sit in front of the Speaker of the House to do that now.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that. I'm just saying, but if that was the only thing, as opposed to having it filmed and having these clips all over YouTube.
Everything said on the congressional floor goes into the congressional record, written up, every single thing about it, and then that is obviously privy to any person across the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that needs to say, and I think that we, how that is basically.
I just want to know when we started filming and why.
It's when C-SPAN became. When did C-SPAN start?
C-SPAN's kind of old.
C-SPAN, nobody watches C-SPAN, but they do for this kind of stuff.
Dad watches C-SPAN.
It's
95.
Yeah, so around that period in time.
No, this is are we talking about this? Does C-SPAN stand for the Comprehensive Pearl Archive Network?
No.
We all going upstairs?
See, and I think that, I mean, I feel like I thought it's a really good idea, just so you know what's going on and everything that goes on in there, but I just think it's a really big issue, and I don't know, the worst, the biggest problem, I've said this a million times, and I'll say it
1979, I think.
I've said this a million times, and I'll say it again. The biggest problem facing Americans is themselves.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's just
absolutely
ridiculous.
The domestic quarrels, I think, are a bigger threat to our democracy than, I don't know, insert geopolitical issue.
Exactly. I completely agree. It's everybody,
because if you can really affect a country from the inside and have them tear themselves apart, I mean, I can't remember. I believe it was the former head of the KGB has a statement. He was interviewed about tactics that he would use, and he specifically outlined that you need to cause political schisms on the inside of the country. You need to make it unstable. You need to make sure that you need to separate everyone into groups and have those groups pitted against each other, and that will make it a lot easier to go in there and conquer it. And that's what they did all throughout the Cold War. And it rings true. Divide and conquer.
Here's the thing that's most concerning to me is that America, through all of its history, through all of its divisiveness, in the past, whenever a huge problem or huge disaster comes knocking at the door, people always rally together. It happened in 9/11. It happened for Operation Desert Storm. It happened for Hurricane Katrina, World War II, World War I, Vietnam. Well, not so much Vietnam.
Pearl Harbor.
Maybe definitely at the beginning. That's World War II. But it happened to Vietnam in the beginning, not the end. But this never happened once.
I would kind of disagree with that.
Coronavirus. This never happened once with the coronavirus, and it's very disturbing to me that
I think very briefly it did. For a very, very short amount of time before it was over-politicized.
I disagree completely. And that's my point, is that it's too politicized. We're dealing with the biggest national global health crisis since like 1918 or 1911. Why is this so politicized?
Are you seriously asking?
I know the answer.
I mean, the way that we deal with things is in a political way, just inherently speaking. And
I get that, but why is it like everybody?
I think it goes back to the whole celebritization. I don't think that's a word, of politicians. When you are so infatuated and so invested in a person's life that is the only lens with which you look through the entire world.
Why is it like that?
Then that's what you're going to use to attack or defend or even just state an opinion about something that happens in the world. And when it's a pandemic, I imagine that really, really, I think that rings true even further when it's something that you cannot avoid. I mean, there's no aspect of life in America or in the world that has not been affected by the rise of COVID-19. And when people are just, their entire personality is insert opinion about a political figure, then that's all they're going to talk about. That's how they're going to react to that.
I mean, like, I feel like I understand where you're coming from, you know? But
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's like, I don't know, flawed to look at it in that sense. Just because, like, your ideas and your views on things are all related, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, they are. They're intersectional.
You know, I can't realistically be like, I like orange juice, then eat an orange and be like, I hate this. You know, to me, it's like
if
the same
you were
thing.
raised by apples, then I don't imagine you're gonna enjoy fruit juice.
I loved that.
Yeah, that was good.
So yeah, I just feel like, I don't know, assuming that people won't deal with it in the way that it's been dealt with, like other countries, I feel like are making it a little bit like, I don't know, more of a media storm, you know? Like Japan has probably like helped flatten the curve. Like they've helped flatten the curve on their in their country a whole lot better than like any other. I don't know the specific facts, but I'm using Japan.
Let's just be honest. North Korea is dealing with it the best way. Anybody who coughs is shot. Anybody who has any symptoms is shot, and they have no outbreaks.
So, but they do have a 100% mortality.
In 20 years, I guarantee that quote will come back to bite me in the ass.
I guarantee it's going to come back to bite you a lot sooner than that.
So, like, I don't know if this was a while ago. There was this chemical that, like, no. So this is like a true thing. This is like about China. Like,
no, I'm saying Carson was joking. I want to have that on the record. But keep going.
Yeah,
but I want to specify that quote was sarcastic.
Like Gary talk, Carson.
I'm just saying. There you go.
Okay, so China was burning bodies and saying
I didn't know that.
And it's
like, they're also welding people in their houses.
Yeah.
And incinerating pets and pulling animals and all sorts of stuff.
Dogs.
Not to mention the whole Uyghur concentration camps. I like how people really don't talk about that. I mean, that's a wormhole I'll go down. I don't want to go on it right now.
I don't know. I feel like people, like, the further away something is, it's like a graph, you know what I'm saying? Like, the further away something is and, like, the bigger it is, that's like, I don't know, a graph to it. Like, one guy is, like, 5 feet away from me. That's something right there. A guy dies in India. I don't care. That's like...
I mean, it doesn't impact you very personally.
20 guys die in my town? Oh, God. Oh, fuck.
20,000 people die in sub-Saharan Africa.
No, that's a pretty.
That's just a headline, you know.
That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it's a pretty. I'm not saying it's not a big deal. I'm just saying to the average person, it doesn't really. It's not something that they're going to think about a lot.
Let's move on from this. I'm sick and tired of bitching about Corona.
No, I'd like to complain about China specifically. Okay, because I was about to go down that wormhole, and I think I'm about to.
Lord,
I think it's bipartisan that nobody likes the Chinese Communist Party, and I don't understand why we don't take advantage of that. There's not. How is that wrong? What political party says, "Oh yay, Chinese Communist Party"?
That in their I'm pretty sure there's such thing as a party constitution that outlines that they like China inherently. But I guarantee you there are members from both parties that like China in some aspects.
I mean, economically, it seems like a lot of people like China. People like to use China, you know what I'm saying? But people don't seem to like how China is doing things.
I mean, that's the thing about totalitarian regimes, okay? Terrible, terrible, terrible thing, but it's very effective when you steal everyone's money in your country and force it to go towards something with no regulation. It's very, very effective at buttering up your geopolitical allies. You can really, really get far economically if you force everybody to work for you in your country.
I think that
you have the highest population.
I feel like America's biggest problem with China is not the fact that it is communist or totalitarian in nature. I mean, it is, but you know what I'm trying to say. But just the fact that it is and somewhat successful.
It's hard to be that and not be successful on that scale.
That's what I'm saying. The fact that it's so big and somewhat successful, and the fact that its GDP is going up every year, except for this one, and the fact that not only that, but the fact that we have so much debt to it, I feel like that is America's biggest problem with China. Not the fact that it is communist, but the fact that it is so big and successful.
I mean, I suppose we could use like Sweden thing here. You know, they're pretty social. Like they're doing it right. You know, they're like, but I guess America doesn't really owe them anything.
Isn't by nature socialism different than communism?
I mean, it's different.
A quote from Vladimir Lenin is, I think it's somewhere along the lines of the ultimate goal of socialism is to become communism. But I wouldn't say any Scandinavian country is socialist, really. I think that it's a different field, it's a different ballpark when your entire country is the size of a U.S. state.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of hard not to socialize and nationalize some things when you have a low population and a very high GDP.
So, like, how should I say this? I feel like there's a cultural similarity, you know, because there are a lot of old people who remember, like, the Cold War, where the big bad guy was communism. And those are the people running the country right now, the people who grew up in that America. So I feel like for a very long time, until this generation of old people is changed into the ones that fear Israelis from 9/11, I feel like there's going to be a similar thing where it's like, we don't like communism or socialism. We don't like anything that isn't super capitalist. Yeah.
You know what's interesting, Gary? This is such a side note, but we can get back to our discussion in a second. Yeah. My dad was watching the Dallas parade when JFK was assassinated.
That's fucking crazy. How old is your dad?
He's like 64, I think, 65, somewhere around there.
That's really interesting.
Yeah,
he was watching it, and his mom was crying when it happened. They watched the funeral also on TV.
So would you consider that to be like... So I consider that to be like 1960s 9/11. And let me explain before that gets like too loud.
No, I know what you mean.
You know, that was an attack, like a very personal attack, something that, you know, people liked him a lot. That was on our own soil. There was a lot of immediate confusion.
I think you can draw a lot of comparisons between those two. I think a Venn diagram between those two would look very similar.
I disagree, though, because I don't think as much people like JFK when he was alive than when he was dead. And this sounds bad, but like I was talking earlier, when America is faced with a crisis, it unites. And I feel like that's why people idealize JFK now, because he was assassinated. But before that, he was just a normal, somewhat politician.
No, I mean, more than that, because he was like the first big Catholic politician in a time in history where Catholics were demonized.
Also that he was young. But he wasn't as popular as, for example, a Ronald Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody like that. I mean, you know.
Because he had name recognition and almost nothing that any normal Joe Schmo before the era of information would know that, you know, kind of put some dirt on his name. something that someone from that era would dislike about him. He was the picture of a American man. Okay, but JFK, people knew that he was Catholic. They didn't like that. People knew that he was upper class. They didn't like that. Those were things that were attached to his name, and you could not separate it. There was a big part of the country that didn't like the groups of people that he was associated with, mainly because of the time. It was a very turbulent era in our history.
What's funny is that JFK, his dad, he was a senator for a very long time, somewhere in the ballpark of 30 years. And he wanted to be president of the United States, but he knew that he wouldn't do it in his lifetime. So he, from birth, was raising his son. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, my screen went black for a second. I just guess I need to click every now and then. But he said, rumor is he raised his oldest son from birth to be president of the United States. But then World War II happened and he died. So then he started grooming JFK. And they had a private conversation with each other. And JFK's dad said, look, I'm going to pay, because they were rich, I'm going to pay for you to win, but I'm not going to pay for a landslide. So you better work hard with your speeches. And it's true. It's kind of sad, honestly,
speeches, though.
That America is like that. I mean, I feel like America is still like that you buy your way into offices like that.
I mean, campaign programs do cost millions, Just
they really do.
Like, that's why, I was not taking Kanye West seriously. As rich as he seems, as rich as all rappers seem, he does not, even with the Kardashian money, he does not have. He may be worth $1 billion, but is he really a billionaire? He does not have enough to not cripple himself. What
do you mean by that?
I don't think that's true.
No, I want to Gary elaborate on that.
Okay, so how much did Donald Trump spend on his campaign? Let's look.
In 2016, he made $600-something million that year.
Okay, made versus how much he spent. First of all, I want so a very huge thing about the Kanye running thing. He's there. Nobody who actually takes politics seriously is going for Donald Trump. Not Donald Trump, Kanye West. The people who weren't going to vote already are going to get up off the couch, go in there and be like, "Haha, I voted for Kanye West." And that might have a few percentages, but it's not gonna be anything in the real scheme of things.
I somewhat disagree with that because I've done quite a bit of research. I hate that I said that about Kanye.
Let me put some input into this. In 2016, Donald Trump, it's something you asked about. Donald Trump paid $86 million for his campaign, $10 million of which came from his own pocket.
Okay.
Which is actually compared to $70 million for the Clinton campaign, which is weird.
Okay. I just want to say this. America and its presidential election is very weird and different from everywhere else in the world. Okay, most of us know this. And third-party candidates will never become president of the United States, but they play an interesting role in the presidential race because what they do is they steal votes. Okay, in 1992, this is exactly what happened with George H.W. Bush and Bill Clinton, and this is why some people say Bill Clinton was ever president in the first place, because it's not that people actually believed that Ross Perot was ever going to be president of the United States, but he was conservative enough that he stole votes away from H.W. Bush. Okay, and I feel like this is exactly what's going to happen with Donald Trump and Joe Biden, because the main thing supporting Joe Biden right now, and the reason that he is the nominee, is the black vote. Okay, and that is exactly what Kanye West is going to take from Joe Biden.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, it's a bit hard to make that argument wholeheartedly because I don't think a lot of African Americans are immediately going to say, "Oh, I recognize that guy. He's a rapper, so I'm going to throw away all of my political interests and vote for this guy." I think the main demographic that he's taking are the people that weren't seriously considering their vote. first of all, people that you need to really try to get out to vote that, don't really care are going to vote for Kanye West because of the memes. Okay. And other than that, the people that are like, the entire system's flawed. I was probably just going to write in Harambe or something. I'll vote for Kanye West.
See,
the people that you really, really have to convince to vote at all are going to vote for Kanye West.
Here's why I think what I just said is so true. Because in 2016, what infamous rapper wore a MAGA hat? I mean, that was Kanye West. And when Trump signs any kind of historic Black legislation into law, Kanye West is there and behind him, and he gets one of the pens that the president signs with. Okay, and I guarantee you, Donald Trump is either compensating or had a serious conversation with Kanye West to do this in the first place.
Oh, I'm sure he did, but I'm just saying, the people that generally, I think African Americans are going to look at this and understand that it's a ploy off of Trump. Okay, so if they're going to be anti-Trump, if they're considering voting for Biden, I don't think that they'll immediately switch. If they're thinking about voting for serious reasons, I don't think they're going to switch to Kanye West.
I don't think people in general, white, Black, Asian, I don't think any people, or at least most people, don't conceptualize or know the negative implications of third-party candidates. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people who are voting,
I think a majority of people don't know that, but I wouldn't attach to any race. I think people in general, Americans aren't very self-aware of how our political system works.
Most people,
let alone voting,
they don't think about things like that. You know what I mean? I feel like definitely you and I definitely, Gary as well, definitely think different from the average person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like you know what I'm trying to say. God, is this coming off as racist? Because this is gonna just shoot me in the foot. I really hope it's not.
Okay, so I'm looking at it now. Oh, Jesse, come. Y'all hear that?
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
That's my brother Jesse.
Hold on. What?
He's a degenerate. Feels like a party.
Is he the one that was playing Fortnite in your YouTube video?
I think so. Yeah.
Awesome.
Streams. Stream.
Oh yeah. So what I was saying, like, there's a huge population, and you guys were like alive and aware last time that there was a vote, so you probably remember that there was like a record amount of people who did not vote. So that's the percentage of people who don't think that they have a thing, where it's like they just want to wear a sticker that says I voted for Kanye. Like, anybody who actually cares about politics in this climate really like cares about their vote. They really want to encourage everyone else to vote, take their thing.
I disagree.
Nowhere. Okay, in what way?
Because I don't think that people are as educated as we'd like to believe they are.
But I'm saying the demographic of people.
The demographic of people who vote, a lot of them just like to wear the I voted sticker because societally people pressure them to vote. I don't think that, I know that there's 40-some% of the population voted in the 2016 presidential election.
Yeah. There's
some people who didn't vote who know a lot about politics, and a lot of people who voted who knew nothing about politics. I don't think that the 40% that did vote in 2016, I don't think that those are the highly educated people. I mean, obviously some of them are, but I don't think that those are the most educated people in America who actually care about voting. I think that it definitely goes both ways.
Okay. So, like, thing is, it's kind of hard to vote, like, it's kind of a process to get into voting, you got to fill out the thing, you got to register, you got to be there at a specific time.
I wouldn't say it's hard. I'd say it takes the bare minimum amount of effort, and that's too much for a lot of people.
It takes more than just showing the box, and that's too much for people.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't know, anyone who doesn't care, anyone who realistically does not care, wouldn't put in that minimal effort.
Unless it's for the jokes, unless it's for the memes, which is why I think we're actually going to see, I think he's going to be on the polls.
Really?
Kanye West. Like I think there's going to be he's not going to be a real contender, but he's going to take some votes away.
No, I disagree
at least
with
some
that.
perspective votes away.
I think that Kanye West is going to get at least 10% of the vote, and that is an enormous amount for a third-party candidate.
Crazy.
I think it's going to happen, and I don't think he's going to get any electoral votes, but I think he's going to steal away key votes in places like Florida and Ohio, where we have big African American, populations that really can affect the way the outcome, the presidential race works. And I just want to say that this is recorded, so if I'm right, I'm a psychic.
I wouldn't say African American votes in particular. I still think it's just going to be the memers. I think it's just going to be people that don't take voting very seriously.
I think it's going to be partially African American people and partially people who are just, that kind of, stereotypical millennial who listens to Kanye in the first place. I think it's going to be both of those, but I think that is definitely going to swing the selection. And I really do think that Kanye being in the selection is going to positively impact Trump and negatively impact Joe Biden. And I think that we're going to see that in November.
Okay, think about it. Like, the average millennial, swings a little bit more left, it seems, a little bit more liberally. So, yeah, but with the general, just unhappiness with the system as of now, I don't think that would happen.
You're right that the average millennial does swing left, but here's what nobody talks about in the mainstream media. America's dirty dance with identity politics. People like identity politics more than they do actual political interest. And this is an absolute fact. If we look at the 2008 presidential election, we elected a African-American man who had been a senator for a little under 4 years and a Vietnam War hero. Okay.
Yeah.
People cared more about making history in the 2008 presidential election than they did about actual politics. I'm not saying that Barack Obama was a bad president. I'm not saying he wasn't prepared for office, but that is what people thought. And if we look in 2016, the same thing about identity politics happened. We cared more about getting a Washington outsider who had no political experience. And once again, I'm not saying this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm just saying that people cared that Donald Trump didn't have a title in front of his name. And that's one of the things that got him there in the first place.
See, I feel like you're really cherry picking information here. I'll send it to the chat, but have you ever heard of Vermin Supreme?
Yes, I have.
He was really a cult of personality fellow, and people, it seems more understood what he was going more than anything, and he actually ran for president. And
he does it every year. He does it every election cycle, I should say.
Yeah, and he's pretty well known now. He is a pretty I think he has a YouTube channel, or at least the YouTube videos that he's on are popular, at least compilations of his stuff. If identity politics was really all that insane, he would have taken the last 2016 election because of this new millennial generation being able to vote for the first time. He would have smacked him away.
Gary, what's your interpretation of identity politics then?
Where it's you're voting for the man as opposed to what he represents.
No, the way it's been explained to me, the way that I understand it, the way that it's defended is I vote for. I'm not saying I do personally. I disagree with identity politics, but to say that I am voting for this person because they share certain traits that I share, and for that reason, they're most likely going to
not even that, just traits
push policy that's in my best interest.
Oh, really?
So, if I am Asian, I'll vote for an Asian candidate, or if I'm homosexual, I'll vote for a homosexual candidate. I'm voting for people that are in my general group that I want to classify myself as, or that I am classified as by society, in order for them to kind of protect my general group, in order for them to push the ideology that they want to associate with this group of people. And I think that's dangerous. I think that's very dangerous. I said this. I don't usually defend anything that I've ever said over the past year or two because I'm a stupid, hot-headed teenager and I say stupid stuff that makes people mad. I feel bad about it.
I'm pretty consistent.
But actually, if anyone's listening to this and I've pissed you off personally, get my contact information and talk to me. I'll apologize. But I remember being at debate camp the summer of my sophomore year, and talking to this person who was gender fluid about identity politics, because they were talking to me about how they believe that identity politics is the only way that policy can be pushed that will protect their class.
That's disturbing.
And I said, no, I think that can be accomplished in other ways. I think that identity politics is very dangerous because it's a stone throw away from ethno-nationalism. You can push a lot of stuff under the guise of identity politics. All right. Technically, voting on someone because they're white and you're white, that's ethno-nationalism. That's still identity politics. If I'm voting on someone just because of their race and not because of anything that they believe or their qualifications, why am I doing that? Why does that make sense? I mean, not every black person agrees on policy. Not every white person agrees on policy. So it'd be stupid for me to just vote on someone who's, I don't know, has glasses. It'd be stupid for me to vote on someone just because, I don't know, they have the same deformity that I have on my toe or something. It doesn't make sense. It's illogical. You're looking at one factor of a person and you're saying, yes, for that reason, they will do the right thing for my group of people.
Okay, so to defend that in the best way I can think of, so this more goes towards like a black people thing.
Yeah.
So to see something like that, it's like knowing that person grew up in the same sort of way that you did.
Yeah.
Kind of makes you think, oh, this person understands the struggles that I have gone through, that I am going through, the lifestyle that I have lived. Even if they haven't lived that lifestyle themselves, they've probably been put into situations similar enough. Do you think Donald Trump could ever empathize with like a teen from Atlanta? I don't think so. Do you think
I think
from Atlanta could ever imagine a Donald Trump's life and his problems? Probably not.
Yes, but being a major political figure is, I mean, yes, it's a good thing to empathize with, people and, be relatable. Yeah. But being relatable is not the same thing as just because you are a black woman, that is the only reason I'm going to vote for you, for example. I mean, it just seems a little ignorant in a couple ways for me or anybody to vote for someone mainly and solely because of their skin color, their gender, or anything. It just seems very uneducated to do.
I want to go off of what Gary said. I can understand that. I really can. I can empathize with it. But I think that's a values thing. I think it really is. To say, like, I'm not going to vote for someone who hasn't shared my experience and who doesn't value the same things that I do and who isn't wary of the same things that I am. That's a little bit different than saying this person has the same amount of melanin as I do, therefore they are the best person to rule our country.
Okay, going back to the gender fluid thing, I can understand that. A gender fluid person, especially like now, it's kind of weird being in America, You get funny looks from people when you say
it's weird being anywhere, I imagine. I mean, we're a pretty progressive country as far as it comes culturally and at least with policy. I mean, they're not looked at any differently in policy. In other countries they would be.
Yeah, so
yes, they are in policy.
Hard to imagine that like a gender fluid person who has worked their way to the top to be put into a position of power, they can at least understand the issues that I'm facing. They'll have that in mind while I'm having my issues. They like a gender fluid politician can't ignore the things from their own life, even if they have very different views. They can at least empathize with the people that they are.
But I think you're almost overestimating the legitimacy and the character of most politicians. Okay, excuse me. But I don't think they're going to stick. No candidate ever sticks to their campaign promises 100%. Okay, they have promises that they have to fulfill to other politicians. They have to make sure that their constituents are pleased.
Special interest groups.
Special interest groups. I don't think that it's a very good promise to attempt to make and keep, because I don't think that a lot of politicians are very trustworthy.
I'm just saying,
I have another question. Don't you think it's a little just what's the best term for this? Because I mean, identity politics goes beyond race, but let's just say, for example, that don't you think it's in some ways the problem with America right now that the fact that some people don't think that we're all equal, so we want to elect somebody merely on the fact of how they look or what's in their pants, you know what I mean? Isn't that isn't that kind of the problem and why some people are that's why people bring race in the picture, because people do vote like that, and I think that is a really big issue for Americans today. I think that is part of the problem.
I mean, I suppose you could look at it like that, but we really have to look at it like these people, marginalized groups, no matter what it is, looking for representation isn't the same as like looking for supremacy. Those are two very different things, you know what I'm saying? Me treating a woman badly because she is a woman is very different than me electing a president who says he's going to kill women, you know what I'm saying? Like, very different things either way. Like, acting. How should I say this? Like, wanting to see a little of yourself and protecting that sort of style that you live.
Yeah. I don't think
a huge part of it. It seems like.
I don't think there's anything wrong inherently with wanting representation in somebody who is somewhat relatable. Like, for example, in 2000, between Al Gore and George W. Bush, people said they voted for George W. Bush because I could drink a beer with him. That was like the big thing. Okay, I think that is inherently different and just extremely different than voting on someone purely and solely because of a specific hyper-specific characteristic. I think that those are two different things.
Now, I don't think they're so different, in the way that, like, these marginalized people, like gender fluid, like people, like black people, like people of color as a whole, where a lot of people said that they could just have a beer with George Bush. That means that he's someone that they can see, that they can relate to, that they feel like they might know a guy like that. To see a gender fluid person like that, that's someone that they may know, because like just that sort of people is like something that they can relate to, living very different lifestyles.
Yes, but being for the going back to the I can drink a beer with him thing, that is just basically a synonym for saying he's an average American. And being an average American doesn't throw a label of white or black or woman or man.
I mean, if we're talking about statistically, then but
yeah,
just the idea of an average American is just someone who has, I think, ideally, it's someone who has a list of ideals. It's someone who values certain things. Is like an average American, but even that is a little bit much because there's a lot of disagreement.
Once again, you're bringing race into the picture, and
how did that bring race into a picture?
Statistically, you're talking about
statistically. Well, yeah, I mean, a majority of Americans are white. A majority of Americans are
we understand
female.
that. We understand that, but the average American is not. We're not establishing a race.
We're not talking about like per capita. We're just pulling some random person from a random location inside the bounds of the United States.
Then, by that same standard, they're probably going to be white just by that,
Yeah, by probability.
Yeah, but that's nothing that. What is inherently wrong with being white?
Oh, nothing.
That's different. I mean,
it just sounded.
I don't think anyone brought that up.
Sounded negative the way you said.
No, I think I think we're trying to find out how to take race out of it. Is what we're talking about.
Like, I don't know. I don't see the issue in debating, like, I don't know, race in America is still a very hot button issue. People are still treated very differently based on their race, by their gender, by their gender orientation.
Can I ask you a question, Gary?
Yeah.
Can you point to a law or policy that says that?
I think it's a cultural thing, is what Gary is going.
What did you say? I think your mic cut out, or maybe mine.
What? Give me a law or policy that says that inherently or naturally black people are afforded less rights than white people, or women are afforded less rights than men.
I mean, there's no policy on the book that actually recognizes or respects any group of people like that.
Have you heard of redlining?
Redlining is actually, I'm pretty sure there's policies that have been phasing that out. I think right now we're feeling the effects of redlining, but redlining was like basically segregation after segregation policy. Like very, very, like
here's my
basically boxing them into a certain neighborhood.
Look, here's the thing.
Because of real estate.
Every young American, every American needs to conceptualize is that the mainstream media is cherry picking examples of racism and putting it and plastering it everywhere. And this is the problem, okay? Because there will always be racist people. There will always be some racist cops. But the vast majority of Americans are not racist, and the vast majority of cops are not racist. And that's just something we need to understand and realize, that cherry picking something and plastering it everywhere will begin to, for some people, paint a false picture of what America actually is. The George Floyd incident was a tragedy, but that doesn't happen all the time. And I think that that's something that people
that's the thing that's what confuses me about the over politicization of this. Because I understand people marching to raise awareness, but when people actually say something objectively, like George, the murdering of George Floyd was a bad thing, who are you arguing against? Because everybody agrees that was terrible.
I mean, how much have you actually seen like the objective thing like that vagueness? It seems like the most that I've seen is these cops should be held responsible for their actions.
They are.
Everyone understands that. I mean, everyone agrees with that also. Like, that wasn't a good thing, That's what's sparking debates about qualified immunity and debates about police unionization, things of that nature. But when you go out there, and I think when you're going out and you think that the status quo is that America is inherently racist and it's systemically racist and there's nothing we can do about it, and we're just going to just protest it and yell at everyone because you are racist, we're racist, everyone's racist. That's just like, who are you arguing against? Truly, I mean, it's coming out of these preconceived notions that have no ground. They really don't.
If you put a color in front of the statement "All Lives Matter," then I feel like you're racist.
Okay.
The problem with America is America hijacks terms. We hijacked the word democracy and made it something different because we're definitely a republic, which is not an issue. But if we look at, wow, I totally just lost my train of thought there.
Okay, I'm going to go off of what you were just saying.
I was going to say this. We hijacked the term racist. It doesn't mean somebody, societally, it doesn't mean somebody who is just rude or abusive to somebody of a different skin color solely because of that skin color. What it now means is anytime a white person is mean to a black person, and that is terrible. It's terrible.
Can I say something to kind of close this topic so we can move away from something a bit less controversial? I think what makes this topic, other than race itself being very divisive, what makes this the most divisive is misinformation. People just assuming that they know what the other side is thinking or what they're saying or their intentions. When people get mad at Black Lives Matter signs because they're like, oh, you're saying only Black Lives Matter. People get mad at All Lives Matter sign because you're saying like, oh, you're disregarding what we're saying. But the people that put that up believe that they're saying, well, we should just respect the sanctity of life in general as a broad value. The big problem is just letting people tell you what other people think and then basing all of your contentions off of that, basing your anger off of that. Because the only thing that can really stop that from happening, the only thing that can really get to the root of the issue is actual discussion. If I assume what Carson knows, and I just argue against that, well, that's a straw man, and there's no way that we can ever come to a consensus because, I'm not arguing about what he's arguing. He's not arguing what I'm arguing about what I'm arguing.
You're arguing.
We have to just sit down, have an actual conversation about what we actually mean, actually communicate the message that we're trying to communicate and try to get to the best solution for this problem. And as debaters, I imagine that that's something we really need to strive for. That's something that we, as debaters, should value more than just a medal or a trophy or just winning a round.
Oh yeah, I've always felt that, like, I don't know, clarity in argument is something like civil discourse. Civil discourse has been realistically
just finding middle ground is very difficult when you believe and you're told that the other person, the other group of people, the other ideology hates the foundation of your ideology and hates everything that you represent and everything that you're fighting for. But that's what we're doing.
Something that we also need to do is, and this is something that when John McCain was alive, he always advocated for, you have to separate somebody's political views from them as a person.
Yeah, separate the art from the artist. It's the same thing.
Democrats and Republicans can be good people, but just disagree. And civil discourse is the key to coexistence.
So, like, I mean, I want to add something. Like, the reason that it's hard for people to separate the art from the artist when it comes to politicians, it's easier for them to believe that a non-binary person is going to stick to their policies on non-binary people versus like a Donald Trump who's never had to experience that. They've never had to be in a marginalized group. Like, I think that's a huge part of why. I don't know.
I think that's a symptom, not the problem. I think the problem is people basing their entire personhood on traits. Basing your entire identity on something that is out of your control is bad. You know, you as a person are a result of everything that you've done and everything that's happened to you and your responses to that. You are your values and you change constantly. I'm a different person than I was 3 hours ago. You know, I don't stand by a lot of things that I say for very long, especially as a teenager. I'm sure that will change as I mature, but you need to understand that you're just a hot-headed teenager. We need to understand that I can't identify myself as, you know, somebody with freckles. You know, I can't say that my entire personhood is the fact that I wear a 9.5 shoe, because I can't control that. You know, what I can control is how much I choose to conversate with other people, how much I choose to try to get to the root of a problem, try to better myself and better my situation, better my country. That's something that you can identify with. You can identify with the human condition in general of trying to improve your status quo. You don't have to identify with your race. You don't have to identify with your sexual orientation, your gender identity, your anything, because that's not you. All right. I mean, I don't identify myself as a skinny person. You know, that's not all I am. I shouldn't be reduced down to that. I'm my own person with my own experiences and my own beliefs, and I'm ever changing. I think the idea, that's where this all stems from, truly, is people look at their entire world through one lens, and it's the lens that they were given just by probability, by the body that they were put in by God. That's all they're going to look at anything through. But you can't do that. That's what's going to cause us divisiveness, especially in our age of information when everyone's just, you know, using that to look at what every politician says and criticize every other person. It's never going to result in any middle ground. It's never going to result in any consensus, because you're making the difference. You really are. You're saying these people are in different groups. You're literally just segregating yourself into a small group and not allowing any change or any type of flow of information.
Although I feel like, you know, those minor things do make a difference. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
It makes a difference in how your life turns out, but it doesn't change who you are as a person.
So I feel like we have to look at like humans, how they are. Like you were saying, you are shaped by your experience. You are shaped by, you know, forces uncontrollable to yourself. Like certain things like race, like you could say that being like gay wouldn't change your life at all, but it would. Like,
I'm sure it would, but
And,
you can't let that be your identity.
But being gay is not the only thing that you are as
that identifies you.
Yeah. But
That's what identity politics really is in nature. It's saying that this is the one thing that represents me as a person, or these intersecting things that I perceive as traits of myself or of my status quo. This is all I am as a person. Everything that I've ever done, everything that I choose to do is a result of my skin color. It is a result of my sexual orientation. I have no free will. Everything is just how the cookie crumbled.
But it's also
that's
like
not how it should be.
On policy, you're a homophobe in that example of gayness or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, people have different opinions. Candace Owen disagrees with Barack Obama, but they're both black.
But it's also like the Greta Thunberg thing. You can't attack her because she's autistic. Shame on you. You can't say
that's general divisiveness caused by just this grouping.
Identity politics.
So I wouldn't say the Greta Thunberg thing is identity politics. I think that's a poor young girl being used and abused by the political system as a puppet and a figurehead who's going to be washed up in 3 years. No one's going to recognize her name. It's the same thing that happened to David Hogg.
So I feel like a better idea, like how I'm saying it's different, is like, I'm not saying that every black person thinks a certain way.
Absolutely.
What I am saying is that every black person gets a little bit scared around someone in a Klan hoodie.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't expect, like, you know, as a couple of fair-skinned fellows here, like, you know, I wouldn't be anxious around a Klansman personally.
I would be anxious. I'm an anxious person in general, but if someone's walking around and proclaiming to be a part of a group that lynches people, yeah, I'd probably be a bit more anxious.
A bit more anxious, but, you know, you wouldn't be targeted by those people. And to be targeted by those people is like something that I feel like all people of color can at least mildly understand.
I think that's an extreme example, but I see where you're coming from. I think when you're being targeted by a group of people because of your things about you that you cannot control, I think it makes sense to just recognize that a little bit. But I don't think that should be the big question in the status quo, because guess what? If you're black in America, the odds of you getting lynched right now in 2020 are pretty damn low. Okay, yeah. The odds of you even getting pulled over by a cop and getting shot are still ridiculously low. It's not really, I don't think it's a question anymore in 2020. Maybe 20, 30, 50 years ago, yes, it's something that 100% would have made sense. But right now, I think it's just a diversion. I think it's just a way to get away from the personal choices that you've made in your life. It's a way to get away from it. It's a way to blame all your problems on things that have already happened to you.
That's an interesting argument. It's very interesting.
Let's try to get away from this topic, though. I tried to get us out of there.
Then we just
can't end very well.
Down. So something I really enjoy, and I feel like you guys are, like, as we talked about earlier, a thing that I believe has kind of gone away is civil discourse, and I feel like encouraging just chatting podcasts like this being the new medium. Starting a podcast is the new starting a channel, as it was in like 2011. You know, everybody is kind of curious about doing it, but they want to see other people do it first. So I feel like this is going to be a good cultural change. You know what I'm saying? Like, having this sort of format be much more common in households across the world, realistically, it can only really help us, I think.
Well, I don't know. I almost disagree with that. I don't think it'll really have an effect, because people are flawed, and the same things that are an issue with YouTube channels right now are going to affect every medium that comes after it. Okay? What made radio die is the same thing that's going to make every new medium die. The same thing that makes TV unbearable is the same thing that's going to make everything else unbearable. It's just human communication, and then that gets monopolized and capitalized upon, and then these, just bad things just start happening over and over again. I think I don't think the problems with YouTube are, specifically unique to a video uploaded online. I think these are just traits and things that happen when you get a lot of people communicating messages in any fashion. I
mean, like, we could look at like the cultural shift, but like depending on each like birth of a new medium, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm sure that is a thing. Yeah.
Like, think about the people who first started doing radio versus the people who first started doing TV versus the people who first started doing YouTube channels. And I'm not saying that that's the only differences. You know, there's like 100 year gap I'm kind of jumping over. Like, just like the different ways that they, like, I don't know, went about what they were doing. Like,
well, in the era of information, I could see it as being more important to have discourse. But I think we're just opening up another avenue for the things that are wrong with the internet right now to go through. Like, it's not going to magically fix anything. It's just going to happen here too.
I feel like it's going to bring civil discourse, like the cultural zeitgeist, so to say.
Well, yeah, I think in general, when you have a medium that is basically either like a podcast, there are two types of podcasts really. One person explaining something to you for 3 hours or telling a story, or people having a conversation. That's it. And I think that's good. I think that's a good thing because there's no such thing as a blog podcast. That would be, or like a vlog. That'd be terrible. That would be obnoxious. That'd be hellish. Be annoying. No one would watch the entire thing. But watching Joe Rogan talk to Elon Musk and talk to Steven Crowder and getting to understand how these people think conversationally, that I think does push a little bit more of the value of conversation, of humanization, through just understanding that we are all flawed individuals. We are all people that think and discover things as we go along. No one has it figured out. And understanding that the only way to figure out anything is by cooperation and communication. I think that podcast can help reinforce that a little bit, kind of teach that a little bit more than it is right now in the era of information. It'll kind of reinforce that as a thing that actually exists. As of, when I was little and my first exposure of the internet wasn't people talking about problems or talking about random topics. It was like watching the Duck Song on YouTube 7 times. It wasn't really, there was nothing to grab from that other than a very annoying song. But this kind of pushes a little bit of value subconsciously, if at all.
It's a pretty good song.
Whatever, Carson.
It's pretty quality, I'd say.
It's quality once, and then once it loops, if you have it playing, then you want to kill yourself. It's good to listen to, and it's nostalgic to listen to, but then if you listen to it twice in a row, no thank you.
You're fucking done, buddy.
Yeah, I'll claw my ears out.
So
I think that might be unique. I think that's the only thing that is super good to listen to once, and then the second time it's like, no, thank you. For something so short, like I wouldn't want to watch a movie back to back twice for almost the same reason. It'd get annoying, but I think that's the only song, like 3-minute song, that's like, yeah, this is cool, and then immediately, yeah, this is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
Let me think. There
so
is a
quickly.
song I know. Have you ever heard of the band 100 Gex?
The band what? You cut out.
100 Gex.
No.
Yes.
They make great, terrible music.
100 Gex. That's like on the tip of my tongue. Like, I can't think of it. I've heard that.
Hold on.
I'm going to Google it and I'll know it. 100. Yes. Oh gosh.
Stupid horse. Oh my god, I love.
No, I don't think I could listen to that once and be like, yeah, man, this is cool. This is good. And then the next time be like, oh, this is bad. I think I'll always be subconsciously, this is terrible, but I'm curious.
Terrible.
Like that's their target audience right there. The Duck Song is kind of playing off of nostalgia and general, like, this is music.
Mm-hmm. 100 Gex.
100 Gex, gosh, that's terrible. Why do you have to remind me that existed?
Oh my god, I like love and hate at the same time. They made a Minecraft
There's no
album,
love.
Dude.
There's no love from me for that.
Dude.
I just ordered your shirt, by the way. I don't know if you noticed.
Thank you, bro. I
Carson, you should get
one
too. I got the Ringer tee in black.
So imagine this. How many people do you think we could get in one area wearing the t-shirt?
Not a lot. I wish we could, but not a lot in all actuality.
Political movement.
Next time we're at an in-person debate tournament together, you know, if that ever happens before I graduate, I'll wear it underneath my suit. No questions asked. I'll get it for my debate partner.
Dude.
Carson better wear it. Carson's partner better wear it. Get some classmates to wear it. Like,
dude,
honestly, after my coupons and stuff for like honey, I got, how much was it? Honestly, let me go back to the email. It was $26.16 after tax and shipping. I got $9 off because of a coupon.
Very affordable.
Very affordable. I mean, as far as merch goes, yeah. As far as t-shirts go, not really.
Gary, I have a question.
Yeah.
How many viewers do you get on average?
Okay, so this is an interesting topic. So I have a regular audience of, and I believe 3% of them,
cut out
400.
Jeez.
Now, you want to know something even more?
You're cutting out a lot.
Something more amazing.
What's that?
3% of my listener base is from Lithuania.
Oh,
the
Lithuanian.
Republic of Lithuania.
I got a lot of mail from Lithuania.
You know, where they speak Dutch.
I'm familiar. One of the last principalities in the world.
And for whatever reason, like 3%. So 3%, what's 3 times 4? Like 12 people in Lithuania are listening to my podcast. They're probably going to listen to it as soon as it comes out for some reason.
You're sure it's not just some of your friends with VPNs?
Yeah, because no one around me knows how to use a VPN. Like, I was explaining to some of my closer friends how you could use a VPN to watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine on Netflix. They're like, psh, that's probably illegal when it started getting complicated. And when I say started getting complicated, I mean the idea where it was like, you got to change your place from this place to this place, and they're probably illegal. Yeah.
I bet VPNs will become illegal. Maybe not in America. But
guys, let me say something to the Lithuanian audience real quick in Lithuania, okay?
Yeah.
Perkiti Gario Prekis. Okay?
If you said something that gets me banned in Lithuania, I'm going to have your...
Perkti Gario Prekis.
What does that mean?
It means buy Gary's merchandise.
Oh, there we go. That's something.
Also put it in Dutch because you said something about that.
I think that Dutch is their Spanish.
Dutch. I live in Europe. They've got a lot of those. Oh, gosh. Dutch, this sounds so funny. Koop Gary's Koopvar.
Ooh.
Koop Gary's Koopvar.
I love that. Those crazy Lithuanians. Probably.
Oh, Koop Gary's Koopvar. Or Koopvar. Something along those lines.
I'm going to start speaking in broken Lithuanian, and I'm going to lose the viewer base there.
Yeah, I bet.
What's a place that hates Lithuania? Is there any place that hates Lithuania?
The thing about the Balkans is just about everybody hates everybody.
Okay, so I'm gonna lose all my Lithuanian audience, but I'm gonna get like 6 more Balkan states.
You're sitting on your ass.
Lithuania is not in the Balkans.
Republic of Lithuania.
10 things you should never say in Lithuania. This is an article I found.
Whoa, for real?
Kind of is.
Yeah. Okay, on the top of the list are you still a part of Russia?
Oh, that's a sore spot.
Second, but close, is basketball is a silly game.
Oh my God, you know what I just realized? Wait, hold on. You know what I just realized? Is that I was just mixing up Lithuania and Liechtenstein.
So stupid. Wow. Okay. Third, people are heavy drinkers in Lithuania. Fourth, Lithuanian beer is disgusting.
Oh.
Fifth, the Forest Brothers were bandits.
I wonder who the Forest Brothers were.
They were Lithuanian partisans who fought against the Soviet Union. After that, we have, why is it always raining here? After that, we have, where is Lithuania? And then after that, we have Kepeline are not tasty. I don't know how to pronounce that. It's a dish. Riga is the capital of Lithuania, right?
I think so.
No, that was a question. It's not.
Oh.
Did you like living in Soviet Russia better than now? I imagine no.
You wanted to plant
Okay,
seeds
so I
in the
found an
world.
even better
How to piss off a Lithuanian.
things you should
Okay.
never do in Lithuania. Can you guess
Yeah.
what the first one is? Punch them. You should never punch it. Fucking duh.
This one says being gay is pretty bad.
Oh no.
Fucking duh. Yeah, dude. You don't want to have sex with their mom. They don't like it there. They don't like that. Dude, top 10 ways to kill a Lithuanian. Number 1, shooting them in the head. I didn't know that. I thought I had to use a silver bullet or something. Okay.
Oh my god, the gif of punch them.
Han Solo fucking punching them.
Fuck.
I would be so like appreciative. I would be so like spooked more than anything if I got punched by Harrison Ford. Because that would mean
You're
that
just gonna have like your first fan meetup, just a bunch of angry Lithuanians with pitchforks.
yeah, and I'm down for that because it's a fan meet. They're just gonna ask me to sign it, probably.
Yeah, I bet. I hope so.
I'm kind of an optimist
I'm guessing.
in a stupid way.
One sec.
Like, yeah, the dumbest form of optimism is like what I try to have every. You know, like if I see a car crash, they probably meant to do it. They're in a better place right now.
Yeah.
Somebody cuts off their hand. They don't need a doctor. They just need to try yoga. Very relaxing.
I'm trying. There's a lot of anti-Semitism in Lithuania, apparently.
Really?
That's what this website's saying. I don't know how true that can be.
Let's see.
There's a Wikipedia page called "Racism in Lithuania." Lithuania is a member of the following international instruments aimed to combat racism: Additional Protocol to the Convention of Cybercrime, Framework Convention for the Protection of National Minorities, Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination. The approximate number of xenophobic acts is not known in Lithuania, but the level of racism varies depending on the region, I bet. According to the journalist Larion Volte, Klepiera should be considered the most racist town in Lithuania. So if you're in there, if you live in that town, can you drop a comment or something? Let me know if you're in the most racist town in Lithuania.
I think we
send me a postcard, maybe.
Podcast.
If you get any questions or comments about the specific town, let me know. I'll give them my address. I want the postcards. No, yeah, I've probably made some Lithuanian people mad. I'm not going to give out my address.
Oh no.
Since it is the only city which is not a signatory of a program for refugees accepted by the government. I don't think that means xenophobic. That's another thing. It depends where refugees are. It really does. As circumstances of being refugees.
That's interesting.
Because I think if you're just anti-refugee in general, yeah, you're probably xenophobic. But I think it gets a bit more specific the more specific you get.
That is
detach all terms and biases. Just in general, any refugee, like if you're against the idea of taking in people from another country who are fleeing persecution or something of the likes, that's a little bit xenophobic.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Why?
Because not wanting a bunch of undocumented people in your country that just sit in tents on public property in parks is not xenophobic. It's just
okay. Then I'll reclaim that for right now. I think depending on the situation, it could be. I mean, really, if like in World War II, denying Jewish refugees from Germany, that's a little bit more xenophobic than something else. I mean, there's varying levels of refuginess or the circumstances of becoming a refugee. Why are we going down this wormhole? This can't be good for anybody.
Yeah, we don't know anything about Lithuania.
No, I'm liking the Lithuania thing. I'm not liking the refugee wormhole.
I was not liking that with.
I feel like there's a lot of like.
Gary just lost 12 viewers.
Okay.
Oh no. I feel like there's a lot of
Lithuania
context
fears Russian propaganda is prelude to eventual invasion. So I can't find. I've been Googling a lot. I can't find any country that specifically is anti-Lithuania. Like the people, I'm sure the government of Russia is anti-Lithuania, but I know that Lithuania in general is anti-Russia, and I'm pretty sure they have strained relations with Poland and Latvia. From what I'm reading,
relations with Poland because there used to be a union called Poland Lithuania, and people constantly.
That's a creative name.
They constantly. It was back in the days where every country had a monarchy, and they are constantly confused, and it pisses each other off when people think Lithuania is still a part of Poland, or they think that Lithuanians and Poland's are the same, or Polish people are the same thing. That gets both people mad.
That would piss me off in general.
Okay,
but I don't have to worry about that because I'm not Canadian.
I always think about like this in like the sense of like people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Imagine if you were like if you had like a twin that's like connected to you.
Let's joke.
And you get like that part cut off. You know what I'm saying?
Like
now you're two different
twin.
people. Yeah, a conjoined twin. You got a conjoined. You get cut. Then you walk around and people ask if you're still with that guy, and it's like, no, I'm clearly not. And it was a big ass like, it was fucking annoying to get him off, mate. He didn't even know.
It's like, hey, how's that twin of yours doing that was conjoined to you? I don't know. Does it look like we're connected at the hip anymore? I mean, ask him. I don't know. I have a twin brother, and we don't really get associated very much because we're very drastically different people. But that's all I'm going to say on the matter. Because I don't want to dox him or myself, but we're very, very, very different. We haven't been associated with each other since like 6th grade.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Me and my brother Jesse are like, we're fucking brothers, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. What's another topic?
Y'all like snow cones?
Yeah. I like most snow cones. You want to hear a depressing story, Gary,
yes,
about snow cones?
100%. Then I
cannot have tiger's blood snow cones.
Oh, that's depressing. I love those.
Yeah, it's not because I'm allergic or anything. It's because the reason for it is the depressing part right there. It's a great flavor, and I really like it. At least I did. But when I was 6, the last time that I willingly wanted to have a tiger's blood snow cone was when I was hearing the news that my parents were getting divorced, and now that's all I remember when I have a tiger's blood snow cone.
I have a similar reaction in a very different way than to chili dogs, because I had like 2 chili dogs at home, and then the next 24 hours I profusely threw up 14 times.
Yeah, I'm the same way about Taco Rio in Wichita, Kansas.
Okay, but
very bad.
I need to
side jokes like that, like stupid little things.
I got some chips and guacamole also, so if there's a crunch, I apologize.
I'll try to edit it out in post. I figured out that editing audio is like, watch this. Insert noise of what's that one thing? The Wilhelm scream? Insert Wilhelm scream. Yeah, that'll be really funny in a couple of days.
Yeah, I put a little song right here.
Yeah,
that was nice. Bruh sound too.
Bruh sound. I'm God. If you guys have said anything turn into anti-Semitic, I could like do that, and
just make that a soundbite.
Yeah, make that a soundbite.
That's funny.
If Carson ever runs for president in like, I don't know, however many years it would take him to run for president, I can just like 30, it'll be like it'll be the worst quality recording ever. It'll sound like it's being played in reverse almost. It'll be like, I hate
at that point. At that point, I'm pretty sure we'll be technologically advanced enough to just fake that recording altogether, like a sound deep fake.
Yeah,
that's something that kind of already exists, like with a SpongeBob text to speech.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That could be really dangerous.
Oh, it could, and it will. Add that to like just general deep fakes that exist right now. It's going to be really hard to prove that something actually happened in like, I don't know, 10, 20 years. It's going to be almost impossible. Like there could be a literal video of insert politician doing something just ungodly, and he'd be able to say edited. Like, hey, you see that live leak thing in the corner? Edited. This is fake.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Attengan? That's something a little
No.
technology.
No, I haven't.
You type words, and it like draws them on a page. Jesse, turn that down. Let me see if I can find the link. Okay, here it is. Like, you type bird and it puts bird. You put the more descriptive you get, the more descriptive it's supposed to become. It's very fun. It's very fun to see how in depth you can get.
Let me go into this.
I like typing in movie quotes because most of the time it does.
Type something to generate images.
You like Huey Lewis?
Oh, that looks terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
I put buy Gary's merchandise because I had it like copied, so I was going like with Google Translate, and it's unintelligible. I don't know what this is.
Yeah, I hate it so much.
This is. You like Huey Lewis in the news? Oh, hold on.
I
typed in bird and it's not a bird.
I put Carson Cuesta in drag and it's just a black square.
Dude, it's so crazy.
Dog in a hat.
I typed in Huey Lewis and it's a black square.
Weird.
This is
like I'm doing it now. I feel like there's an element of randomness to it, but like some college students who invented this, said that they like drew a bunch of stuff with it. Let me see if I can find the PDF. It's very fun to play with, I find. But I'm also like mentally a child.
Yeah.
Facts.
Breath sound effect here.
This is disgusting. What is this?
I'm not getting anything anymore. Nothing's showing up anymore.
I typed in grass and it's just like green Minecraft blobs.
Let's start.
Everybody listening to this go to ATTNGAN. Attengan. Yeah.
Is there not like a description you can add?
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't even need to know what it is. Link in the description of this video. Well, actually, this sound recording, it'll be on Spotify. You can click to it from there. Click on it. It'll be great. You'll become a millionaire. Your wife will unleave you. $1 million. 6 seasons in a movie.
Your hair will come back.
Your hair will come back.
You'll get the kids.
Dinkelberg will explode.
Racism will be over.
I'm glad you said canceled.
Racism will be canceled.
Cancel culture?
We'll get a new season of Community.
I'm glad you said cancel.
Will come out.
About cancel culture.
It's kind of played out.
Yeah, I think we've done. What? The controversial things today. I'm doing good. Mind on you again. It's nice. It's fun.
Alrighty, I think that's enough for one day.
All right. Well.
Anything you guys want to leave on?
Video of I'll bust you open.
Insert.
Oh my god! Insert the video of I'll bust you open.
I'll bust you open.
Your friend.
Yeah, I think it was.
Okay,
it was nice to have this little thought experiment.
Alrighty.
You know what? Play me out with the with just some nice piano music, some nice jazzy boogie woogie piano riffs.
Whoa, why is it so loud?
As it just slowly fades out.
That's E-rape.
Yeah, it is. But it's gonna be even more E-rape.
Well, thank you for having us on.
The fucking.
And I think that piano
so
slowly
loud.
getting louder is my cue.
Craig, leave.
fuck? Damn it.
Craig,
Hold on.
leave.
Hold on. Now I gotta go back to where.
Hit the
But-
road.
You put a comma there on accident. I think you meant to put a semicolon.
Hit the
And yeah,
road.
he hasn't left yet.
Hit the road.
I always copy and paste commands.
Craig, get out of here! Craig, pick up your stuff and get out. Hit the road, Craig. Cab's outside. I put your stuff on the curb.
Let's go.
Craig, I'm leaving you and I'm taking the kids. Go on, get out of here, Craig. I don't want you anymore. Just go. Get out of here, you big stupid Discord bot.